So after we saw the open rehearsal in action, we got to have a Q&A with both Natalie Abu, the director of A Christmas Carol, and then straight after that, we also had a Q&A with Jeremy Woodhouse, who is the producer of this show. But firstly, we had the Q&A with Natalie Abu, where we got to talk about how the set was significant, about costumes and how they would look, and also got an insight into her directing process. So firstly, we discussed about the set and what was the main themes that were being talked about. She gave us the insight of this toy town in a window display outside of a department store window. And she specifically named Phoenix as an inspiration because she actually wanted Phoenix to be named, but because of copyright, they've had to change the name in reference to A Christmas Carol, which she deemed clever. Which kind of gave an insight to Natalie's idea of festivity and Christmas cheer, which is what she wanted to spread throughout the entirety of the show, as little tidbits of information. I did ask about the lighting, if there's any significance, because I noticed like a green aqua wash was on the floor, and I thought that might have significance to the ghosts and their characterization, but she said it didn't have any significance. However, in terms of lighting and stuff like that, there are references to Robinson Crusoe with the floor, as it mentions in the book Footprints in the Sand, which also references the originality of the Charles Dickens novel and what is referenced in there. However, I feel like certain elements weren't fully fleshed out yet, which could be seen better and more effectively in the actual show. We also asked about costumes, where she told us about the Theatre Green Book and how that is supposed to implement sustainability and a stronger ecosystem in terms of theatre, where costumes are being reused, then being bought again, which means that it stays eco-friendly and sustainable for the environment while staying in period as well, because A Christmas Carol will also remain within the period of Victorian era. So it shows that they were being able to put pieces of theatre together whilst lessening their carbon footprint that they've developed for many years prior. And also they were practicing guidelines that must be implemented in order to ensure that theatre has a bright future ahead of them. In terms of a directing process, Natalie confessed that she has a trial and error method where she tries many things out in terms of devising and creating and applying things before trying contingencies and then therefore scrapping content, which we could see with the Puppets of Ignorance and Want, which is what we could see with terms of set and maybe some other ideas that we didn't see behind the scenes, which basically just showcases her work ethic and what she practices on stage, wanting to tell a successful, effective and honest story as best as she can with little falters. She tries multiple ideas and concepts and also including other performers into the space as well to also collaborate before finalizing down to what's actually good, and it shows the devising in the creative process as well. In terms of the Q&A with Jeremy Woodhouse, we got to talk about the casting and how that was significant to what Natalie wants for the performance, as well as how singing was important towards the narrative of A Christmas Carol. So in terms of casting, Natalie wanted to cast people from all different backgrounds in terms of different talents, skills, ethnicities, different backgrounds. And that gives the piece an edge that A Christmas Carol usually doesn't have in other renditions, as it diversifies the message that Natalie's trying to send, that Christmas is universal. The cheer, the merriment is universal. It's everyone celebrates it. And basically it's very diverse, all-encompassing, inclusive, very happy, sells the tone perfectly. And in terms of singing, Jeremy told us that Natalie wanted to use as many Christmas carols as possible in order to keep kids entertained, whilst also being used to forebode and tell the story, such as Silent Night and a bunch of other ones that we've also seen. It also helps with the narrative with the Christmas carolers, because we're also told that the narrators were Christmas carolers singing outside of the department store window, which would then enter into the story, which I thought was quite a nice transition at first listen. And it also adds the theme of festivity that Natalie wants. So considering this, it basically shows that Natalie deeply considers the demographic from adults to kids, where they will all be entertained in some way or another. It also solidifies these festivity themes that keep being brought up, which should be a really good focal point in discussion when we do analyses, which you'll see in a later page. And so, yes, that is everything that I found out and I looked at from what they talked about in the Q&As.